All right, continuing the series on the real church. Could have called it What Makes a Church Real, or How Can a Church Become Real? The point is that this series is trying to help Christians understand how to make their church real and relevant to the modern Americans as a whole. Now, I don't really think I'm going to change the world, although I wish. But if I can help a few Christians understand things they can do that will make the church more real, I think this will all be worthwhile. I don't have a lot of viewers, yet I still think it's an important topic. You know, I'm trying to point out the things that maybe you aren't going to hear from most pulpits on Sunday morning. You know, I talked about why people don't go to church, hypocrisy. Talked about attitudes of Christians. In this sermon, I want to visit the church. No, I want to look at the vision of the church today, or maybe I should say the lack of vision. You know, I've already talked about that multi-million-dollar aquarium, and that's a perfect example of the modern church. Not that modern churches have multi-million-dollar aquariums, that's a rarity. But that idea, the bigger the splash, so to speak, the bigger the pizzazz, the more jazz, the more likely people are to show up. And that's true. But you know, those are the same people that aren't going to do anything anyway. They come to church so they can say, I come to church. They come to that church because they can say, I come to the fanciest church, the best church, the prettiest church, all the best people. I know a church right now that is going through a change. And I have no doubt that the pastor and the board knew when they started this process that they would lose a significant number of people, and I believe they will. You know, what's sad is myself and many others think that the people they're losing probably didn't matter anyway. But you know, there are churches that are losing other people that do matter. And when I say matter, I'm talking about people that are making a difference in the lives of others. To me, people that go to church on Sunday and don't make a difference in the lives of others don't matter in terms of church. Now, they matter to me as people, but as Christians, they don't make a difference. They don't matter in terms of the warfare, the spiritual warfare the church should have a vision on. Most churches aren't like that one with the multi-million-dollar aquarium. But you know what? The thing is, when you sit down with a group of pastors, they tend to talk about the big church in their area and how they could do a program like that. How they could be like a big church out in California or down in Atlanta or Dallas or wherever. Of course, not too many talk about big churches in Cheyenne, Wyoming, but hey, it happens. They may not be as big and glamorous, but even pastors here in Cheyenne are talking about what did that big church here in Cheyenne do? how can we be like them? That was a good program. And there's nothing wrong with that. There really isn't. Except the problem is what they're doing is emulating all the superficial crap. And that's what it is. I want to give you some examples, and this isn't going to be a long sermon. I want to give you some examples of just how out of touch our churches are today, how out of touch they are with reality, compared to what they need to be if they're going to be involved in God's mission for them. We call it the Great Commission. God said, go into all the world and spread the gospel. You know, we can say we build a splashy aquarium and people will come to see it. Yeah, that's nice. You built Disney World and people will come there too. You know, getting people to walk through the doors doesn't matter. If that's all it took, we could go out with machine guns and force everyone to walk through the doors. You know, if you believe you got to be baptized to be saved, then we could take machine guns and order everyone to get dunked in water, and they'd be saved. If they have to say a certain prayer, you hold a machine gun to their head. Now, people, it isn't about getting them through the doors. It's getting God into their hearts and getting them into God. All right, a few examples. When I look at a church website, it usually takes me 5 seconds or less to give you a fairly close guess to the size of the church. How do I do that? Well, the bigger the church, the fancier the website. And most of them look pretty good, but they aren't very functional. It seems as though they don't think about who will be using their website. Let me give you some examples. People that go to a church website usually come from one of two groups. The regular attenders at that church, and they'll get used to the website and they'll find what they need, and then they'll bookmark it or they'll know how to get back there. And it's not a big deal. They are not the people you should be designing your website for. Because you've got potential visitors that are looking at your website and they're trying to find certain things. What are they trying to find? Well, number one, they might be trying to find out when and where does the church meet. Ding, ding, ding. I visit a lot of churches. And when I go to visit a church, that's the first thing I do is I look for a website. A lot of churches don't have them. I don't care if you're big or small, you need to have a website. Even if it's one page, it says where and when you meet. The other thing potential visitors are looking for is how to reach the church. I've seen church websites where it's taken me 5 minutes to find some of that. I saw one church website that didn't list where or when they met. And they didn't have a phone number on there. I had to go look them up in the yellow pages. Now, the sad thing is, this was a very large church. They had some fancy software on their website. It had pizzazz all over the place. Another thing that happens with all this fancy software is our church website, I wrote it. I'm not a great HTML person. I'd probably have things on there that drive you nuts. Tell me about it. But here's the thing. I wrote it in native HTML. Do I think everyone should do that? No. But that's all I know how to do. So there's not a lot of snap to it. But I use monitors that set back away from my table a little bit. I've been to church websites where they use some specialized software. I can't change the font size. That means I can't read them without getting up out of my chair and sticking my face right up into the monitor to try and figure out what it says. You know, you can't write it so that it looks good on your monitor. You need to think about who your customers are. And churches just don't do that. And websites aren't the only one. I did a sermon last year sometime about toilets. Church bathrooms tell you a lot about the church. Are they focused towards people or not? You know, coat hangers. If you live in the north and there's no coat hangers in the bathroom stalls, and that's not a good thing. You know, stuff, little stuff. One of the things, this is just a geek thing. A lot of churches don't put email addresses on their website. I don't know why. Why don't you want people to get your email address? Because of junk mail? Look, you're going to get junk mail anyway. Anyone that's on the internet, you know that. You get junk mail. You have to learn how to handle it anyway, so deal with it. Make it easy for your customers, your visitors. And there's nothing wrong with putting that fancy form and saying, if you fill this out, click it, and we'll send an email to us. Listen, you're doing that, 9 out of 10 semi-geek people can find your email address in the code using the browser's ability to look at the source. Hello, it's not a secret. Put your email address out there. Come on. There's nothing wrong with that contact form. I kind of like them sometimes. But put the email address somewhere so that people can find it easily. Paul said in Philippians 2, 1 through 5, consider others better than yourselves, more important than yourself. Stop worrying about trying to protect your precious staff from spam. They've already learned how to deal with it. Make it easy for the people. That's what we're supposed to do. That's what Paul was saying. Here's another example of a church that's just totally out of touch. And the sad thing is, I've actually heard multiple pastors make similar statements. But a pastor's church was vandalized, to say the least. It was severe, significant. And when the TV people interviewed him, he said that people don't respect the church anymore. My response was, duh, what rock have you been hiding under? 50 years ago, the decline started. There was already a problem with some people. But he's right, 50 years ago, most people respected the church even if they didn't believe in it. I think most, nearly all. I think today there's a lot of people that don't respect the church. And the sad thing is the church doesn't realize that. Because the church is out of touch with society, with the people of the world today. And you are not going to take the Great Commission into their lives if you do not understand where they are, where they're coming from. Christians, we need to be aware of all the people around us. We cannot go through life ignoring certain people just because they're different from us, or because we don't like being around them, or we don't like them, or whatever. We cannot bury our heads in the sand, Christians. Christians, stand up and be real to the people around you.